At the engagement banquet, my boyfriend got me drunk and shoved me into his uncle's suite, only because the white moonlight of his heart had come back. Uncle, stall her for one night for me. I heard him, but pretended to lose my footing and fell straight into the uncle's arms. The man caught me, glanced down, and did not let go. The next morning, the moment my fingers brushed my dress, an arm hooked me back by the waist. A husky male voice sounded behind me. Still able to stand? Last night you were crying and begging me to be gentler. Uncle, Whitney's finally back. Just keep an eye on her tonight for me. Dylan held me with one hand pressed to the door. Sebastian lit a cigarette. Drifting smoke veiled his expression. His voice was low. Dylan, do you know what this is called? Sending a lamb into a tiger's mouth. Dylan lifted a brow and grinned like a rascal. If Uncle likes her, why not let him have some fun? Not afraid I'll actually do something? Uncle can do as he pleases. He nudged me forward. If Uncle takes a liking to her, that's her honor. He paused, then added, what's more, now that Whitney's back, I'm going to break up with her anyway. When Sebastian said nothing, Dylan continued, though she's terribly dull, might bore Uncle to tears. Sebastian stubbed out the cigarette, a faint curve at the corner of his mouth. Just don't come crying later. Dylan froze a second, then laughed even wider. How could I? Better Uncle take this headache off my hands. Saves me the trouble of dumping her and getting harassed. Fine. Leave her to me. Dylan nodded and strode out of the suite. Dylan, you're really coming to the Velvet Room with us? Someone asked, slinging an arm around him. Gotta hand it to Whitney. She just landed and the groom-to-be ditches his fiancée to welcome her home. Whitney gave the guy a playful swat, then turned to Dylan, her eyes perfectly apologetic. It's all their nonsense. Why don't you stay with your fiancé? She paused, voice softening. I'll be fine, don't mess things up for you too. Dylan swirled his glass, gaze resting on her face for a second. No big deal. Uncle and I look alike, she won't notice. Seriously. Another buddy leaned in. You just tossed Casey in there with your uncle? Not scared he'll actually do the deed. Another chimed in. Willing to bet? Dylan snorted, utterly unconcerned. My uncle? Ice cold, hardly touches women. Not necessarily, someone smirked. Guys who stay celibate the longest go craziest once they start. Plus, the lady's gorgeous, care to wager? Dylan arched a brow, confident. Wanna bet? You have no idea how much Casey loves me. Tell her to go east and she won't head west, obedient, utterly devoted. He paused, lit a cigarette, smugness in his tone. Remember when those thugs cornered me? She stepped in without blinking, took a blade for me, blood everywhere, didn't care if she died. His lighter froze a moment. The guy kept going. You stayed by her hospital bed 3 days straight. We all thought you were done for. Dylan swirled his glass, smile slipping for a split second, then shrugged lazily. That's exactly why I can't string her along. Breaking up is returning the favor, yeah? Everyone roared with laughter. Dylan, you're one hell of a saint. He smiled, crushed the cigarette. Let's roll. No one noticed the knuckles of the hand he kept behind his back had gone white. The instant the door shut, I didn't push Sebastian away. I'd had plenty to drink tonight, but I wasn't dead drunk. In front of Dylan, I'd always been the good, sweet girl, so he spoke without scruples. I just wanted, one last time, to see if he'd pick me over Whitney. Even once. Sadly, I lost the bet again, and that finally woke me from my self-deceiving dream. But I didn't cry, scream, or cause a scene. If he could heartlessly hand me to another man, then to him I was nothing. If I turned on him now, all I'd get in front of these blue-blooded brats was deeper humiliation. And the Vance clan would smear me relentlessly to protect Dylan's name. Before I found a way out, open war wasn't the smart move. Sebastian's hand still rested on my waist, his palm scorching through the thin fabric, carrying a faint scent of Arctic fur. Strange, nothing like the fragrances Dylan ever used. The next second he lifted me clean off the floor. Casey, back to bed. His voice was low, husky, dangerously attractive. Maybe it was the alcohol, or maybe a spiteful urge for revenge crushed my last rational thought. I wound my arms round his neck and buried my face in his chest. Sebastian's body tensed noticeably. His arms tightened. When he spoke again, his voice was rougher. Casey, don't act cute. You smell amazing. You like it? I like it. He set me gently on the bed, as if I were a priceless figurine, careful to the extreme. In the dim lamplight, a man and a woman locked eyes. He lowered his head and brushed the faintest kiss across my lips, then murmured, Casey, are you really drunk? I'm drunk, I said, meeting his gaze. Then do you want to? Sebastian and I were not strangers. Every time Dylan dragged me back to the Vance estate, we ran into him. But Sebastian stood high in the family hierarchy and was ice cold, so our exchanges were few. Only once, at a banquet, Dylan abandoned me because Whitney had a fever, leaving me alone in a shark tank of strangers. That night a cluster of his admirers accidentally knocked me into the infinity pool. Laughter and scorn echoed everywhere. Sebastian hauled me out, wrapped me carefully in his jacket, and spirited me away from that cesspool of humiliation. Afterward, he made every one of those women apologize to me. I didn't know why he would play Dylan's ugly game, but I was certain Sebastian was the only man who could leash Dylan. He tugged off his tie, leaned down and pinned me beneath him. Casey, it's too late for regrets now. His kiss fell fierce and urgent. I won't regret. I kissed him back, but his warm palm clamped the nape of my neck. Casey, do you know who I am? Telling him from Dylan was easy. A tiny mole beside his right eye that, up close, was bewitching. Who do you want me to think you are? Casey, once you're mine I won't let go. You sure? His mouth offered a choice, yet the hand gripping my waist left no room for refusal. I said nothing, only traced the stern arch of his brows with my fingers, slid to the mole at the corner of his eye, then down the straight bridge of his nose. Reverent, dazed, tender, lingering. The next instant I was swallowed by a scorching, predatory kiss. Sebastian pressed me into the mattress. The dim lamp swayed as if drunk itself. I reached up to the pulse beating in his throat, felt its throb beneath my fingertip. Air thinned, ragged breaths were the only sound. He leaned closer, tall frame blotting out the light, calloused thumb grazing my cheek, as though to confirm I was real. Night wind lifted the curtains, moonlight slipping in to pool over our tangled clothes. For a heartbeat the world shrank to the rhythm of two hearts. He looked as if he were savoring every second. Casey, say my name. Uncle. He turned rougher. Call me brother. Get it wrong and you'll be punished. I whimpered, gazing up in grievance. Say brother. He pressed on, relentless. Brother. I cried out brokenly, nails raking the hard muscles of his back. Sebastian locked a hand behind my neck. The last shred of boyish restraint snapped as he drove harder. Casey, keep saying it, don't stop. Brother. Brother. Morning sunlight spilled in. The air still carried last night's lingering sweetness. My body felt as if a truck had run over it, every muscle sore. My head rested on that rock-solid arm. Sebastian slept peacefully, his striking features and flawless physique. Honestly top tier. Fragments of the indecent night flashed through my mind and I flushed scarlet. Alcohol is dangerous. I shouldn't have been so impulsive. The instant my fingers touched my skirt, a large hand yanked me back. Going to put your dress on and pretend nothing happened? Sebastian hadn't opened his eyes. His voice carried the gravel of just waking, lazy and irresistibly enticing. Uncle, I was really drunk last night. Could we? What did you call me? Sebastian rolled closer, making no further move, only brushing stray hair from my forehead with his thumb. A hint of laziness still clung to his eyes, the last trace of sleep. I told you, call me the wrong thing again, and you'll be punished. His voice was low, the final note of a cello. I started to speak. Then I felt it, the special dangerous hush that belongs only to early mornings. I wisely softened my tone. Don't. I was wrong. He chuckled softly, his breath brushed my neck, sated and lazy. Too late to beg. Sebastian's kiss was a breath away when the door knocked. Uncle, are you awake? Dylan called from the hallway. I jolted, shoving Sebastian's roaming hand aside. No, Dylan will hear. Sebastian's irritation at the interruption crackled off him. What are you afraid of? You listened to him last night, didn't you? After what he did, you still choose him? I wanted to say it wasn't like that, but right now I'm powerless. In a scene like this, I'd only look like a guilty cheater lashing out. He can't touch Sebastian, but crushing me would be as easy as crushing an ant. It's not the right time. Don't be scared. He's the one who messed up first. Besides, I'm here. You don't have to fear him. I still shook my head. Sebastian, Dylan and I haven't broken up. I won't hand him ammunition to flip this on me. If that happens, I won't be able to stay in Eastbrook. Sebastian paused and let go. The knocking grew louder. Dylan sounded more panicked. I'll give you 3 days to settle it, Sebastian said, eyes locked on mine. If it's not done, I'll handle it my way. Dylan stepped in, saw Sebastian in a loose silk robe. He hesitated. Uncle, did you shower? Sebastian glanced back at me, his gaze traveling from head to toe. Yeah, she threw up on me last night. Dylan exhaled in relief. He laughed apologetically. Sorry, Uncle, for the trouble. No trouble. We're family. He bit down on the word family. Dylan came over and took my hand. Then we won't disturb you, Uncle. Let's head back. Suit yourself. As we brushed past, Sebastian scratched my palm, mouthed one word. 3. In the car, Dylan apologized. Alex, I didn't mean yesterday. Whitney just got back. The the whole crew was welcoming her. Childhood friends, I couldn't bail. It's fine. I stared out the window. You're not mad. You two go way back. I get it. What good would being mad do? Whitney was sent abroad, but she sneaks home countless times a year, every single time the same story. We've fought about it. It always ends with, can you quit being dramatic? But none of that matters now. I knew my Alex would understand. He reached for my hand. I slipped mine away. Eyes on the road. He grinned. How about I take you shopping? Same old script. When he feels guilty, he buys things. No apology, no change. I like nice things, sure. But gifts like these are rice sprinkled with needles. Impossible to swallow. I'm tired. I want to go home and rest. He ruffled my hair. Okay, whatever you want. Teasing, he added. Everyone scrambles to get something from me, yet my girlfriend wants nothing. He's wrong. I do want something. I want the shine in his eyes when he looks at me, like maybe I glow too. Who am I? Orphaned, raised on charity, put myself through college, stuck in a cubicle doing a job anyone could replace. He's the only son of the Vance second branch, spoiled since birth. Whatever he wants, he gets. His pursuit was wildfire hot. These 2 years he's been good to me, stayed when I was sick, took me to meet his friends. If I hadn't been abandoned again and again, if I didn't see the fresh love bite on his neck right now, I might not be able to let go. Dylan, do you want to marry me? I had to know. He blinked, then countered. Why ask? Am I doing something wrong? Dylan, do you love me? He gave a helpless smile, the way you soothe a child. Of course I love you. Love rolls off his tongue, so easily I can't tell truth from habit. When you say it, who are you really picturing? His phone rang. Whitney. Dylan, tomorrow we're exploring Chase's private island. Bring your girl. Dylan agreed without thinking. He'd never miss a gathering if Whitney's there. After hanging up, he remembered to ask me. Alex, come with us. We haven't had fun together in ages. Do you want me there? He smiled. Absolutely. It's my birthday. Help me celebrate. All right. Consider it your last birthday gift from me. And a proper goodbye to our 2 years. Coleman is Chase's new island. No roads, no docks, utterly untouched. We arrived near dusk. The sky was darkening. Whitney wanted photos on the reef. Alex, come with me. These guys have no eye for angles. I followed her to the water. She climbed a jagged rock, shouting over the surf. Here, Alex, how's this spot? I waved her back. It looked lethal. From afar it must have seemed I was directing her pose. Ah! Her foot slipped and she tumbled into the sea. Dylan was closest. He dove in without hesitation. He sprinted past me, brushing the rock I stood on. The stone shifted, I toppled. Dylan! He had Whitney, lifting her above the waves. He heard me, turned, saw me thrashing. Dylan, help me. Our eyes met. Hesitation flickered across his. Whitney can't swim. Hold on. He looked away and towed her toward shore. But I can't swim either. Waves smashed over me, I choked. I clawed at the reef, nails broke, blood clouded the water. No pain, only panic. Another breaker slammed me under. Darkness rushed in. All I heard was the ocean's guttural roar. I sank. Deeper. Flashes burst behind my eyes. The day my parents died. The white lights of St. Sebastian's corridor. The shine in Dylan's eyes when he chased me, him keeping vigil 3 days without sleep. Casey, I'll never let you down in this life, he'd sworn, gripping my hand. I thought it was real. It was all fake. As consciousness faded, I thought, fine. No one in this world wants me anyway. I thought I was dying. A hand clamped around my wrist and hauled me out. Chase! He dragged me onto the reef. I coughed up water, lifted my head. Not far off, Dylan stood soaked, Whitney in his arms. He stared, face bloodless. I stood, legs shaking, hands shaking, everything shaking, and walked toward him. Whitney lifted her tear-streaked face. Dylan, I was so scared. I thought I'd die. Dylan's eyes darted to me. Alex, I'm sorry. I didn't know you can't swim. Sorry again. Is that the only line you own? My voice cracked. Didn't know? Have you ever seen me in the water during summer? We got our diving licenses together, remember? His eyes reddened. Alex, Dylan, is my life worth nothing to you? No, it isn't like that, Alex. He tried to push Whitney aside and reach me. Whitney clutched her stomach, face twisting. It hurts. Dylan, my stomach. Dylan looked down, his face drained. Whitney? What's wrong? She curled up, voice thin. The baby, our baby. The words crashed over us like thunder. It felt like a bomb had gone off inside my skull. They were having a baby? Dylan's head snapped up. One look. Then he scooped her into his arms and sprinted toward the camp. As he passed me, he knocked me sideways. I stayed where I was, watching his figure shrink into the distance. The wind was fierce. It dried the salt water and left crystals clinging to my skin. Chase walked over, opened his mouth, closed it again. From far away came the snarl of a speedboat. Whitney was rushed to the hospital. Dylan went with her. He never once glanced back. I stood alone on the reef until the speedboat vanished beyond the horizon. Suddenly I was back to the knife 2 years ago. He'd carried me just like that. His hands had shaken so violently his tears splashed my face. "Casey, hold on. Don't you dare leave me. Don't you dare." Now I stood here, bleeding just the same. Only this time he carried another woman and walked away. The blood I lost that night had finally run dry, 2 years too late. Night fell. Chase said my name. "Casey, let's head back." I answered, "Okay." On the path to the camp I tripped. My knee smashed against rock, blood welled fresh. I sat there watching it slide down my shin and drip onto the sand. A laugh tore out of me. The laugh turned into tears. Chase looked helpless. "You okay? Mind if I check the cut?" I wiped my face. "I'm fine. Thanks for today." He exhaled, understanding everything he didn't say aloud. Dylan crossed a line this time. "Can I borrow your phone?" I took it and dialed. 2 rings. "Who's this?" I said nothing. "Casey." Sebastian's voice. Silence again. "Casey, where are you? What happened?" My lips parted, my voice trembled. "Sebastian, I'm here. Come get me, please." The rustle of clothes came through the line. "Send me the pin." "I'm on my way." I hung up, dropped him the location, then sat hugging my knees to my chest, staring at the black ocean. Time blurred. Eventually the sky thundered with rotors. Sebastian descended like a dark comet. He stopped in front of me and looked down. I was soaked, bloodied, a wreck. Without a word he crouched and lifted me. I buried my face in his chest and for the first time since I was 15 cried in front of another human. Loud, ugly, the way kids cry when they skin a knee and need their mom. Sebastian said nothing. He only held me tighter. That night Dylan called 15 times. I ignored every one. Next morning a news alert lit up the screen. Vance Air reunites with ex, rushes her to hospital for prenatal check. The photo showed Dylan carrying Whitney through the entrance, bodies pressed close. I stared for 3 seconds. Dylan rang again. I handed the phone to Sebastian. "Throw it away for me." He studied my face. "You sure?" I met his eyes. "Positive." He nodded and tossed the device into the trash. Trash belongs with trash. Then he pulled me into his arms. "Casey," he murmured against my hair. "From now on I've got you." 3 days later, the Vance estate family dinner night. Sebastian had one last meeting. His driver dropped me off first. Inside, Dylan was chatting with several uncles. When he saw me, his glass almost slipped. "Alex." He strode over, eyes bloodshot. "Where have you been these 3 days? Do you know how many calls I made?" I smiled. "Gone." "What?" "The phone," I said. "Too noisy, so I trashed it." Color drained from his face. Whitney appeared behind him, belly just beginning to show. She hesitated at the scene. "Sister-in-law." "Don't call me that." I cut her off. "We're not close. Besides, he and I are done." I tilted my head, amused. "But if Miss Sinclair wants my leftovers, she's welcome to them." Whitney went white. Dylan stepped closer, reaching for my hand. "Alex, you know, that night I can explain. I know my uncle. He wouldn't touch you. Nothing happened to you. Those things I said, I was raving. Don't take them to heart. Give me one more chance, please. Alex, I'm begging. Let's start over." I flung his hand off. "Explain what?" "Explain why you shoved your fiancé into another man's bed the night of our engagement party? Or why you never looked back when I begged you to save me." My voice wasn't loud, but it carried. The living room quieted. Glasses lowered, heads turned. Evelyn Vance hurried over. "What's happening?" "Dylan, what are you doing now?" He stayed mute, so I spoke for him. I told the Vance clan exactly how he'd delivered his bride-to-be to Sebastian's suite, and nearly let her drown. Evelyn's face paled, a funeral hush fell. Theodore set his teacup down with a crack. "Dylan, is this true?" Old money Vances prided themselves on honor. Staining the family name was unforgivable. I was betting everything on their outrage, my only ticket out intact. Dylan kept his head down. Whitney stood frozen. "There's more." I reached into my bag and produced a single sheet, abortion paperwork. Mine, not hers. "Dylan, do you know what this is?" He lifted his gaze, lost. "A termination slip," I said. "Mine." His pupils shrank to pinpoints. "I was 2 months pregnant." He looked thunderstruck. "You promised to marry me. While I lay in ICU fighting for you, you swore you'd never fail me. I believed you. Yet when you threw me onto someone else's bed, did you think of me, of the child inside me?" I ripped the paper to pieces and hurled them at him. The scraps were weightless, but they flayed him alive. He couldn't breathe, his lips trembled silent. "Casey." He knelt, trying to gather the shredded fragments, as if that could piece us back together. Uncles, aunts, I'm not here to make a scene. I'm here for witnesses. I, Casey, officially end my engagement to Dylan. This wedding is off. Dylan surged up, gripping me like a madman. No, Casey, no. You came today. That means you're giving me a chance. You love me. You can't walk away. You came for me. Yes, that has to be it. I clawed at his fingers but couldn't break free. I was eyeing the crystal ashtray when an arm banded my waist, and I fell against a solid chest. Enough, Dylan. Sebastian's voice iced the room. I'd warned him. Don't regret it. He stepped close and murmured for Dylan alone. One thing I forgot to mention. That night in the hotel, she was drunk. But when morning came, she stayed. She chose to stay. He straightened, voice ringing clear. And she'll keep choosing to stay. Because 3 days ago I asked her to marry me. He drew a ring from his pocket and slid it onto my finger. Perfect fit. I stared at the band, throat burning. Dylan finally moved. Casey, you can't. Can't what? I lifted my gaze. Can't marry your uncle, or can't find a man who actually loves me. He faltered. I held his eyes. Dylan, do you know what I thought while I was drowning? I thought, so this is how it ends. Don't say any more, Casey. Please don't say another word. I was just thinking. That knife I took for you 2 years ago really wasn't worth it. His tears fell. I watched them fall and felt nothing. It didn't hurt anymore. Really, it didn't. From now on, you take your sunlit highway and I'll cross my single-plank bridge. Keep your white moonlight, guard her well. As for me, I turned and glanced at Sebastian. He was looking down at me, eyes smiling. I've got someone to take care of me now. Dylan stood rooted, a statue. He almost walked away, then stopped and swung back toward Whitney. Oh, right, Miss Sinclair. You're pregnant. Is it Dylan's? Her face exploded crimson. No. I smiled. You really think the Vance golden boy wouldn't dig that up? Know why he can't get over you? It's not because you're so special, it's because he never had you. You left 2 years ago and he felt he'd lost. You came back, so of course he had to win the rematch. Whoever's baby you're carrying, he doesn't care. Because it will never be born. I turned and walked out. Sebastian's arm slid around my waist. We left together. Behind me, Dylan called, Casey. I didn't look back. As I stepped through the door, I heard Theodore's roar. You wretch, on your knees. Evelyn's sobs. Whitney's scream. Such a lively afternoon. Sebastian looked down at me. Feel better? I shook my head. Given the choice, who would trade a quiet, happy life for all this misery? Don't be afraid, he said. From now on, you have me. I leaned against his shoulder and suddenly remembered something. By the way, I said, that abortion paperwork. Fake. I had someone print it. He blinked, then laughed. Want me to scrub the forgery for you? I tilted my head. How did you know what I was thinking? He studied me, teasing. Probably because every pot finds its matching lid. I laughed and shoved him. He caught my hand. Who called you the good girl? Looks like you've got skills. Still, he bent to my ear, voice dropping. I prefer when you use those skills in bed. The words were barely out before his mouth covered mine. A slow, victorious kiss, soft and endless. When he finally pulled back, he rested his forehead against mine, voice rough. My help comes with a fee. Evening light poured through the floor-to-ceiling glass, stretching long shadows across the floor. Outside, the sky blazed with sunset. Inside, 2 silhouettes overlapped. Everything felt exactly right. Do I love Sebastian? Maybe I do. Not just for his brilliance, his looks, his empire. He plucked me from that ugly circus of fame. He dropped from the sky like a savior. How could I not fall? Word is the Vance family hushed the Dylan scandal up. Theodore shipped him to Argentina to toughen up. No coming home without permission. As for Whitney, the Sinclairs took her to end the pregnancy and exiled her overseas again. Exactly where, only the older generation knows. The Vances came to see me after that, gifts in hand. Among them 3% of the family holding company, non-voting but enough to keep me comfortable for life. Partly for saving Dylan once, partly for the mess he made, partly for my silence. I played the polite card. Family shame stays indoors, indirectly signing their non-disclosure deal. My original goal was simply to walk away clean. Any bonus is pure profit. And why does no one breathe a word about Sebastian stealing his nephew's fiancée? Because Sebastian controls the Vance purse strings. Anyone who wants to challenge him had better weigh the cost first. With his power behind me, I built my own empire fast. You need talent, sure, but you also use every resource in reach, turning other people's leverage into your own. Become the best version of yourself. Sebastian's sidebar. I met Casey when she was 12. I was 17, fresh out of boot camp, kicked out by my father. My mother was long gone, no one wanted me. I wandered the streets for 3 days, half dead from hunger. James Vance picked me up. "Kid, come home and eat," he said. I followed. It was the best meal of my life: braised pork, sweet and sour ribs, scrambled tomato and egg. His wife kept piling food on my plate. "Eat your skin and bones." Halfway through, the door burst open. A schoolgirl ran in, ponytail swinging, and froze when she saw me. Uniform, bright black eyes like 2 grapes. "Sweetheart, call him Big Brother," James said. She pressed her lips shut and stayed silent. "She's shy," James laughed. "Sit, let's eat." She took the seat across from me. All through dinner she sneaked glances. When I caught her, she ducked over her rice, ears red. Afterward, she bent over her homework. James said, "Sweetheart, let Big Brother help. He's top of his class." She lifted her head, eyes shining. I sat beside her. She wrote slowly, each stroke careful. I pointed out a typo, she murmured okay, and fixed it, then peeked at me again, mouth curving. She'd had the answer right all along. She just wanted me to stay. When her mom called her for supper, she said, "Wait, I'm not finished," though the page was full. I lived in that house for 3 months. Every morning she'd wave on her way to school. Every afternoon she'd hover in the kitchen doorway, asking what was for dinner. Her mom claimed she was picky, yet she devoured everything I cooked and announced, "Big Brother's food is better than yours," before hugging her mom to soften the joke. Those 3 months were the warmest of my life. When I finally landed a job and prepared to leave, she walked me to the gate. "Big Brother, will you come back?" I said, "I will." She smiled that same smile. I ruffled her hair. "Be good." She nodded. I walked away. At the corner I looked back. She was still waving. I never imagined we'd lose 15 years. 3 months later, James died. The fire raged through Building 3 all night. By the time I reached the hospital, it was rubble. She stood in the corridor in pajamas and bare feet, face streaked with soot. No tears, just standing like stone. I knelt in front of her. "Sweetheart." She turned slowly, eyes dry, empty. "Big Brother," she whispered, then said nothing else. I wanted to hold her but had no right, only a stray her father had fed. Her aunt arrived and led her away. She glanced back once. I almost followed but didn't. That night I walked the streets for hours, replaying those months. Her bent-over homework, her stolen glances, her crescent smile, and her lost face in that hallway. I swore, get strong, find her. I went back to the Vance family and clawed my way up, year by year. Every Qingming I visit the graveyard. At first hoping to see her, later realizing she rarely comes. One dusk she appeared, alone in black, tiny before the headstone. She touched the photo, stood, and left without tears. She was 15. I hid behind a tree, fists clenched, and stayed put. I wasn't steady enough yet. I told myself, wait until she's older, until I'm stronger. I went to her school later. From a distance, I watched her. She was jogging on the field, stumbled and scraped her knee. She climbed back up and kept running. She didn't cry. She ate alone in the cafeteria, chewing slowly. When she finished, she stacked the tray, said thanks to the woman at the counter as she left. She sat in class by the window, taking in every word, and stayed at her desk to finish her homework after the bell. She seemed always alone. No friends came to talk, nobody walked out beside her. All by herself, she grew up in silence. I stood at the gate and watched from afar. I wanted to walk in, step right up to her. But I told myself, wait a little longer. Wait for her to get into college, to become an adult, till I could finally stand in front of her and say, I've waited years. The day she graduated, I went. She hauled her suitcase out alone. No one picked her up. At the gate, she craned her neck once or twice, then lowered her head and dragged the wheels forward. After a few steps, she stopped, looked back a moment, and then kept walking. Across the street, I watched her disappear, flowers in hand that never left my grip. She was 22 that year. I thought a little longer, until I quelled the boardroom revolt, until it was safe at my side, until I had the courage to walk straight up to her. I never imagined the next time I'd see her would be when Dylan brought her home. Riley, I sat beside the seat of honor, half listening to the uncles talk. The doors opened, Dylan walked in, a hand in hers. I glanced up and froze. It was her. The same face, the same bright eyes. Only thinner, taller, lovelier now. She sat quietly in a corner, speech sparse. Dylan spooned dishes to her. She smiled and thanked him. The instant he turned away, the smile vanished. Watching from the side, my heart clenched. She was still alone. Later I had someone pull her records. Living under another's roof, putting herself through college, doing a job that could be lost any day. She rented alone, ate alone, spent every holiday alone. She dragged herself to ST when sick, cried by herself when sad, climbed back up when she fell. Exactly as before. I stared at those files for a long time, tempted to ask Dylan if he had the faintest idea how to care for a girl. After that, Dylan brought her back over and over. Every time I let my gaze linger a moment longer, checking if she was truly happy, if anyone bullied her, checking if she ever remembered the evening long ago when an older boy taught her homework out on the veranda. One afternoon she sat alone in the garden. Sam saw her lost in thought. I walked up, hovered beside her a while. She looked up, startled, then smiled. "Hey, Uncle. What are you doing here?" "Sam." She nodded, fell silent again. "So did I." The breeze lifted her hair. She tucked it behind an ear, exposing a pale sliver of neck. I dragged my eyes away, turned to leave. A few paces on I glanced back. She was still there, staring into distance, solitary as ever. Later, something happened to her. Dylan left her at a party. The pack of women shoved her into the infinity pool. When I reached the noise, she was hauling herself out. Soaking, hair plastered to her face, an embarrassing mess. Around them the laughter jeered. She just stood, head low, motionless. I went up, shrugged off my jacket, and draped it over her shoulders. She looked up, eyes glassy, pool water or tears I couldn't tell. "Come with me," I said. She nodded. I took her out, had my driver take her home. On the way back, I called every one of those women. The next day they filed in to apologize. She never knew I did it, and I meant it to stay that way. Then came the day of the engagement banquet. Dylan steered her into my room. When the door clicked shut, I saw she was pretending to be drunk, lashes trembling. I knew from the instant she tumbled into my arms. But I let the play run, because after 15 years, this was the first time I'd been close enough to touch. She leaned against me, breath smelling of wine, lashes fluttering. I looked down and thought, she's grown into someone beautiful. But her eyes were the same, black and bright like ripe grapes. Then she pretended to sway again, collapsing toward me. I caught her, and didn't let go. That was the moment I decided. This time, I am not stepping back. That night I asked her, "Are you really drunk?" She answered, "Maybe I am, so do you want me?" I gazed into those eyes, unchanged since she was 12, bright as if holding stars. I dipped my head and kissed her, light fleeting. Then I said, "Casey, if you pick me, there will be no turning back." "You sure?" She said nothing. She only lifted her fingers to my brows, my eyelids, the bridge of my nose. I looked at her and knew 15 years had finally ended. Later she asked why I had chosen her. I said, "Your dad once helped me." She didn't believe it. I tried. "Because you are brave and tough." Still doubt in her eyes. Finally I told her, "Because at 12 you deliberately got those math problems wrong." "Casey, you had a crush on me even then." Her cheeks flamed. She swung at me shyly, not very hard. I thought to myself, this is the way she ought to be. Happy like this. I admitted, "I really waited 15 years. She stared, stunned, then her eyes reddened. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Say what?" "Remind you we met when you were small. Confess I watched you for years. When you were his girl, what could I have said?" She watched me as tears slid down. I brushed them away. "Casey, I won't push you. If 15 wasn't too long, a few more days won't hurt." She clutched my sleeve. "Sebastian, do you know you're stupid?" "Yeah, I know. Even stupider than me." On tiptoe she kissed me. Later I bought the little house she had lived in as a girl and restored every inch. Quinn, ornaments, photos on the walls, even the small desk lamp on the exact same spot. The day I took her there she paused at the doorway, tears instantly spilling. Why did you do this?" "I couldn't bring your parents back," I said, "but at least I could give you a place where you can still feel them here." She plunged into my arms, sobbing like a child. I held her, hand gentle on her back. Outside the window, sunlight poured in across the family portrait. Her father, her mother, and her 12-year-old self smiling with crescent eyes. That smile. I had found it at last, the girl who should have grown up happy. One night she asked whether I had ever thought of giving up during those 15 years. "No," I said. She asked why. "Because each time I wanted to quit, I remembered you bent over homework. Your furtive glances at me, your goodbye wave at the door, your helpless face in that hospital corridor. And I wondered, if I quit, who will remember you? Who will hug you when you're low? Who will stay with you when you're sick, or fight for you when you're bullied? I wanted to be that person, from the moment I first met you." She listened quietly, then leaned on my shoulder and whispered, "Sebastian, thanks for waiting." I said, "Waiting is fine as long as I got you." She smiled. Another night she suddenly asked, "Sebastian, if Dylan hadn't shoved me into your room that night, would we still have ended up together?" I thought about it. "Yes." "Why?" Because sooner or later you were going to leave him. You were just waiting for an excuse strong enough to make you fight back. She laughed softly. And what if I'd never realized you loved me? I'd keep waiting. Until when? Until you noticed. She looked at me, her eyes sparkling. Sebastian. You are the biggest fool I've ever met. I smiled and pulled her close. If loving you is foolish, I'm happy to stay a fool. As long as it's you, that's all I need. Outside, the moonlight was perfect. She was warm in my arms.